last year, me and 3 other comedians went on holiday to New York City, and there was a big snowstorm, and we all got stranded, and we couldn't get home when we thought we were going to get home. So I didn't think it was much of a story, but it actually made the BBC News website. The fact that me and 3 other comedians were stranded in New York City made the BBC News website of 4 comedians stranded in New York City. And I'd imagine as people read that, they probably thought, 4 comedians stranded in New York City on the BBC News website. I'd imagine we've heard of all of these comedians, have we? No. Please adjust your expectations, dear reader. Because 3/4 of that article was dedicated to explaining who the fuck each one of us was. Everyone got their own little paragraph. Now, I'll be honest, that stung initially, but then just quite excited to get a little bit of press from the BBC. That's always nice. Your own little description. You can take that description, pop it on a poster, sell some tickets. Lovely. Here's what they actually went with. Diabetic comedian. Now, this annoyed me for a number of fucking reasons. Firstly, because, yes, it's technically true, he'd done some research, right? I am type 1 diabetic, I am a comedian. Put those 2 things together, I can sort of see how he arrived at diabetic comedian. But I'm here to let you know tonight, diabetic comedy is not a thing. That is not a genre of humour that exists. Hope none of you read about me on the BBC News website and that's why you've come to the show tonight. Oh, look, Cheryl, a diabetic comedian. I've never heard of such a thing. It sounds very groundbreaking, diabetic comedy, doesn't it? Well, your mother's diabetic, isn't she? Get her a ticket as well. I wonder what he's going to do. What is this diabetic comedy? Puzzling. Is he going to come out here, test his blood sugar level, and we can all guess what it is? Maybe he's going to do some high-octane Def Jam style humour, or as it's known in the world of diabetes, no jam for me, thank you very much humour. Hey guys, you know when you're doing your insulin, you got to rotate the injection sites, haven't you? Because if you don't, the area becomes lumpy and hard. Well, I guess I've been injecting into my dick. It's impossible to do diabetic comedy, mainly because people don't understand enough about diabetes for me to be able to do successful observational humour about it. It would only work if it was a room full of diabetics, which it never is. It's normally no diabetics or 1 diabetic. Give me a cheer if you're diabetic. Hey. There he is. What's your name, my friend?
Richard.
Richard, nice to meet you. Type 1, type 2?
Type 1.
Good, okay. Any type 2s in? Good, doesn't count. So, should understand there's a lot of beef between the 2 communities. It has to be beef because that has no impact on blood sugar level. See, if I came out here and did an hour and a bit of diabetic comedy, it would be pure silence from you and then just Richard losing his mind at the back. Which would be worth it once or twice. Because people get confused. I think it's my life, so I think it's a fairly simple condition to understand. But people get confused in day to day. Like, I've brought some of the equipment that I use with me, right? Okay, this is my insulin pen. This is how I get the insulin into my system. The way this works is I screw a little needle onto the end of there. There's a cartridge of insulin in there. I dial up how much I want, and then I just stick it in wherever like a dirty little medicine slut, right? Regularly... Richard, by the way, I'm on Humourlog. What do you use?
Act Rapid.
Oh, cool. So that's a level of banter. That's the diabetic comedy banter out of the way. I don't think I've heard of Act Rapid before, Richard.
It's brilliant.
It's brilliant. Not bad. Thank you, Richard. Humourlog takes like 20 minutes to really sort of kick off and get going. What about Act Rapid?
About 4 seconds.
4 seconds? That's pretty rapid. Sweet, Act Rapid. Hang around after the show, we'll have a chat. Well, I use Humourlog because I live in the dark ages. May as well suck it out a fucking pig. I regularly just do this in public, right? But it confuses people who might happen to see it. Like, I did it in London the other day. A woman shepherded her child away from me like I'm some sort of horrible drugs man. Where did she think I'd come from to take heroin with this? The fucking future, look at it! Also, don't move your child away from me as if I'm suddenly going to go, oh, some for the share alike, 'tis a lesson he must learn. I show you're probably thinking, well, that's how you do your insulin, Ed. How do you test your blood sugar? Good question. I do that with this, which is called an AccuCheck Mobile. Richard, what do you use? He's dead. That can... Sometimes that can happen. That's how quickly we can slip away. Sometimes Act Rapid is too rapid. There's not enough time to alter your mistakes. R.I.P. Richard, hashtag pray for Richard. So here's how this one works, right? Here's how you test your blood with this. I put my finger there, press this button, a little spike shoots in and out like a James Bond shoe, right? Pierces my finger, I get the blood on the end of it, put it in the machine, calculates my blood glucose level reading, I look at the screen and I act accordingly. Again, regularly do this in public and it confuses people. I did it in a cafe the other day, at a big communal table. A man who I do not know leant over to me and said, "Ooh, is that your phone?" What contract did he think I was on that it demanded a blood sacrifice? Even people that I sort of know, a friend of a friend the other day saw me do all of that, looked baffled for 20 minutes, then pointed at this and said, "Sorry, mate, I've been meaning to ask, is that your vape?" My fucking vape! You've seen me put blood in it, you maniac! I know they get pretty wacky with the flavours, but I think hemoglobin might be taking it a step too far. I hope I'm not getting too angry about the type 1 diabetes stuff, by the way. If you don't know about type 1 diabetes, it's not your fault. I think it gets misrepresented in the media all of the time, right? Especially in things like films or dramas. Quite often a scriptwriter will put in a type 1 diabetic character for a bit of peril, bit of medical peril, and then do no further research into the condition they're writing about. So my favourite example is a 90s action film starring Nicolas Cage called Con Air. Solid 90s action fare, unless you're watching it from a type 1 diabetic perspective, which there is absolutely no reason you should have ever done that before. So there's a type 1 diabetic character in that film. About halfway through that film, he goes sweaty, shaky, and pale. All the classic signs of a low blood sugar level. He then asks for his insulin, which is injected into him. He's then fine and runs around shooting people for the rest of the film. Listen to that. Couple of you laughing. The rest of you just sat there going, "Yep, that sounds fine. What's wrong with that?" He's diabetic. If he's feeling ill, give him his insulin. It works for everything. It's like Calpol for those guys. No, I have already told you what insulin does. Insulin reduces blood sugar level. If you give insulin to a man with an already low blood sugar level, you will kill that man, and this is why my girlfriend won't watch films with me anymore. That and the time I made her pause Charlie in the Chocolate Factory to calculate how much insulin I would need to take a swim in the chocolate river. Well, if it's Act Rapid, you could just sniff it and it'd be all right. Getting more angry about the Act Rapid thing now. She said, my girlfriend said, "Just relax. It's supposed to be a fun film." Right? She's probably right. Way more fun in an action film to jab someone with a big syringe than they pop up and start blowing suckers away again. Rather than the scientifically accurate version of that, which would be to set the character up comfortably and feed him jelly babies for 15 minutes. And that, by the way, is the scientifically accurate version of that. I've not just picked the most whimsical sweet I could think of. The NHS recommends jelly babies to type 1 diabetics to get their blood sugar level up quickly in an emergency. Jelly babies. And that is fine when you are diagnosed aged 11. Since then, they have offered me no alternative. I am a fully grown man who carries around a bag of jelly babies with him 24/7. Do you not understand? That is the creepiest sweet a man can have. Because if you meet a grown man who's got any bag of sweets on him at all times, it gives off a certain vibe, doesn't it? But when the sweet in question is a little naked baby, when I'm carrying those, I feel like I should put myself on a register. I live in this nightmare where one day I'll be walking past a school at the end of the day, accidentally trip over and spill jelly babies all over the floor. Parents are panicking, calling the police. I'm scrabbling around going, "No, please, you don't understand. I have an illness." Someone sat down there who's tried to start a round of applause and it didn't look like you were going to go with it. And I've got to say, she fucking wouldn't let go of that. She was like, no, we clap now. Get to this part of the show and I can look around and see you all sat there going, oh, we're enjoying it, Ed. But is the rest of the show going to be about diabetes?